Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are around the world. I know that a lot of people tune in to this from all over the place, and a lot of people grab the recording from all over the place. So hope you're having a great day wherever you are. If I haven't had the chance to meet you, if you're brand new in the business, my name is Michael Simon. Been with the business now for a little bit over 6 years, and achieved the rank of Blue Diamond so far, 7-figure earner, and totally changed my life. This business absolutely changed my life in every aspect for the better. Now, I often say there's lots of ways to go out and make an income out there and achieve your livelihood, I guess. But there's only one way that I've found that makes me a better husband, a better father, better friend, better brother, better whatever. It makes me better in so many ways. And that's why I'm excited about this business and you being a part of it. And that's why I will be active in this to the day that I die. It's just too good on too many levels. So today's training, I wanted to share some stuff with you around our first step. So, when we build this business, whether we are looking to acquire customers, whether we're looking to, expand and scale things up through partnerships and duplication, what we're looking to do is we need to make a connection first. So this is a hybrid model. We can do things online, we can do things offline, we can do a little bit of both. But if you don't have a good connection with who you're sharing our products with or who you're sharing our business with, you're setting yourself up to fail, I believe. And I think this first step is something that a lot of people skip over too fast. Now, when we look at who we share this with, whether it's product or business, as I said, and online or offline, we can move fast in our warm market, right? And this industry, the direct sales industry, the networking type industry, works really well through our warm market. And historically, the way companies have had great success is, let's say I've gotten started and I've shared these products and this business opportunity with my warm market. And then the people who have partnered with me in my warm market, then we work together in their warm market. And the ratio of results that I get in my warm market either sets me up to build a great business or I crash and burn and fail miserably, right? At the end of the day, my warm market is only a certain size. And once I've gone through it, I've gone through it. And so I've either produced massive results or nothing or somewhere in between. Now, what I love about our hybrid model and the digital tools, the AI technology behind the scenes and social media nowadays, and just the way where everything's at is, yes, warm market is where we should start and where we can move the fastest, but we can move forever in the cold market. The cold market never runs out. There's 7 billion people there now, and tomorrow there'll be some of those people no longer there, just the circle of life, the way it goes, and some new people that weren't there today. The cold market continues to rejuvenate and it's massive. Now, I still want to start in my warm market. I still want to move fast through my warm market, but I want to move forever in my cold market. And when people ask me the question, how do we do that? I was looking the other day, I was getting some statistics together for actually a meeting that I'm having on Tuesday around my organization. Now, when I started in this business, obviously I started in my warm market and I actually didn't have much of a social media presence, so to speak. Actually, I still hate social media. I hated social media years ago. I still hate it now. I'm part of it because I love it for building business. But everything else, I don't think it's really good for humanity, in my opinion. But anyway, so I start in my warm market. I bring on 3 business partners out of my warm market in my first month. Love it. Not a massive start. I've never broken any records anywhere in the business. If you've ever, seen any of what I've done over the years, I've never been the first, the fastest, or anything like that. But I've created a fairly significant residual income and a pretty good lifestyle from just being consistent with average numbers that anyone can produce. So this training is going to be based around a bit of that. So 3 business partners in my first month, 2 business partners in my second month, all out of my warm market. Now, As I've continued to grow in the business, obviously my warm market has been exhausted, but I've continually added to that. And so statistically, I've partnered with more than, slightly more, it's not two, but it's slightly more than one person a month for every month that I've been in the business for over 6 years on average. So, you know, when we talk about consistency winning in this business, you know, my own numbers are fairly consistent. To be able to partner with a new person every month, on average, for 6 years. Obviously, some months there's been 2 or 3, and some months there's been 0, but it averages out to 1 a month. Now, picture what your organization would look like if you partnered with one person every month in your business, and then picture what your organization would look like if everybody who was in your organization partnered with one person every month. Like, the numbers go crazy, right? So none of that happens without having a connection. So I'm going to get rid of my face off of this screen because I can't stand looking at myself. But step one, making a connection. It's so important to have a connection. So what is it? Like, when we say make a connection, what is it? It's relationship, rapport, and trust. That's what it's all about. This is why we can move fast in our warm market, because whether it's a few days or our whole life, there's already trust, there's already some sort of rapport and relationship there that's already built. So that's why we want to start in our warm market, and that's why we can move fast and generate a list and get through that list really quick. The faster we can drop that list into our funnel, the sooner we're going to get results and conversions. So people join other people. You know, we often talk about this when I'm working with people in the business. You know, who are we and who are we looking for? You know, we need to go to work on being that perfect business partner that we're looking for, because that's what other people join. Picture this. If I was to go chat with a stranger on the bus and say, hey, like, let's say I get the bus to work every day and I say, hey, you know, I've just started this amazing new business, has phenomenal whole food nutritional products, all natural, no chemicals, no synthetics. You know, we're doing crazy things. You want to partner with me? You want to start working together and, you know, create some extra income and go out and impact some lives. What's the chances of that stranger on the bus getting up, getting off at the next stop, and then getting the next bus? You know, pretty high. Like, I'd be that absolute strange cat that he'd be telling people about for probably 2 weeks. This weirdo came up to me on the bus, tried to pitch me a business. Then think about this. What about a regular who's on the bus? You know, someone, and I may never have spoken to them ever, but you know, we see each other, we're on the same bus, I know what stop they get on, I know what stop they get off. They're the same with me, or vice versa, or whatever it is. So we see each other regularly. You know, if I went up and I started to chat to that person about the business, the chances of them partnering with me or trying our products are almost infinitely higher than the stranger. But then think about this: someone that you sit next to and chat with on the bus. Like, let's say, you know, for years we've been getting the bus, and we you know, we're creatures of habit. We sit in the same spot, and you know, we've never hung out on weekends. It's not like I'm going over to your house for dinner or a barbecue, or we don't do social things. But every day, every weekday, we're next to each other on the bus. What if I was to talk to them and say, they're like, hey, how you going? You know, how was your weekend? Oh, awesome. You know, I'm so excited right now. Hopefully I won't be catching this bus too much longer. You know, I've started to work on something to generate some extra income. I'm really excited about it. Then they're so much more likely to say, really? Why? What is it? What have you found? Because here's what got me fired up about the business. And here's how I feel to this day. And this is how we want people to feel when we share this with them. So Rick and Janine Carney were the people who shared this business with me. And to this day, like, yes, 6 years ago when they first shared it, I felt like this, but I still feel like this to this day, about how incredibly lucky I am, or was, to have known them and to have them have shared this with me when they did. Like, it was like, oh my God, like, I'm in the right place at the right time. I've got the right people. And when they say your network is your net worth, like, that's unbelievable. It's priceless. You cannot put a price on what Kyani has done for me, and how much in debt am I to Rick and Janine for sharing it with me. But how much gratitude do I have for being there and sharing it? So can you imagine in this scenario, that person sitting on the bus, if they see what I saw when Rick shared this with me, they'd be like, oh my God, how lucky am I that I've been sitting next to this dude on the bus for the last few years. So it's all about the relationship and the trust. When you think about those three situations there, it's the same business, it's the same product, it's the same scenario, but the only difference there is the trust, the relationship, and the rapport. So that's where we've got to work on it. People don't care how much they know until they know how much you care. We've all heard that cliche before, but it's so true. So here's a couple secrets I want to share with you. Be interested, not interesting. I love that. You know, everybody's favorite topic is themselves. Now, another cliche, we've got two ears, we've got one mouth. We should do twice the listening as we do the talking. So many people in a conversation are trying to be interesting with what they're sharing and what they're talking about, rather than listening and being interested in what the person has to say. So how can you be interested? How can you show interest? Use questions. Questions are the best way to have people, you know, the scenario where everyone's got a story, they just want someone to listen. And what if, you know, listening is a great thing, but what if you were asking some questions, how much better are they even going to feel? It's like, man, this person's really engaged. This person's eating up. They're picking up what I'm putting down. But here's the other thing that I know. Those who are asking the questions control the conversation. So you can control where it goes, and what they're telling you. And remember this, if you say something, it's rubbish. If they say something, it's true. So think about this. Think about building trust, building rapport, building relationship, but also sowing the seeds and working out and guiding the conversation to a point where the door is open for you to drop some crumbs about our product or our business. So, because the person asking the question controls the conversation, as I said, because you want to be talking about their favorite subject, which is them, not us. So here's some of my golden questions I'm going to share with you guys. You know, what's crazy is I got this slide deck out for this presentation. And this is something this is probably 4 or 5 years old, this slide deck. And same questions. I still ask the same question. I love this one. How's life? So people don't buy the features, they buy the benefits of what we're doing. I've got my kids singing their lungs out in there. Guys, just keep it down a bit. Sorry about that if that was loud. So they don't buy the features, they buy the benefits. And like any good business negotiation or business deal, people have to walk away from the deal both feeling like they've won. So Kyani has to be better. Our team has to be better because they're a part of it, but their life has to be better because we're a part of it. So when we ask, how's life? You know, if they're throwing things back at us that are negative, depressing, or has them in a downward spiral or mindset, then, you know, we've got things that can help there. How's work? You know, if someone asked me that 6 years ago, it's a very different story to what it is now. How's the family? Love this one. Love it, especially in like flu season and things like that, because it usually would have the door open to talk about products. So what have you been up to lately? I always love this. And the reason why I love this is because when I ask that, they usually ask me the same, and it can lead me into the hamburger method. If you haven't seen anything about the hamburger method, go into the Whatever It Takes Project 50 Facebook group, type in hamburger method, and you'll see a great training there from Blue Diamond, Mrs. Mendoza, Kenley Mendoza. So great hamburger training there. So when was your last holiday? This is a great one. When was your last holiday? This is just, you know, you want to get people thinking. Do you spend a lot of time with your friends, family, kids? Or, you know, if you're talking to someone who's, you know, not married with kids or anything like that, do you spend, you know, what do you love doing in your spare time? You know, it might be golf, for instance, or do you spend a lot of time playing golf? So we ask questions like that. What does your ideal day look like? Great question. What do you love doing in your free time? As I said before, how often do you get to do that? Why do you think that is? You know, why, like if it's, like I said, if it's golf, or one of my favorite pastimes is fishing, you know, why didn't I get to do that all that often? Because one, it's expensive. You know, people who think they can get a boat, get some fishing gear, and end up with cheap seafood, they're dreaming. Go buy your seafood. It's a lot cheaper. So it's expensive, but it's time consuming. Oh my God. So, if someone asked me those questions 6 years ago, what do you love doing in your free time? Man, I love fishing. How often do you get to do that? Not very often, 5 times a year, maybe. So why do you think that is? Oh man, I'm putting in so many hours in my job right now. It's just insane. 70, 80 hours a week. And realistically, most of the time I only get to plan to go fishing is when I have 2 weeks off over Christmas. And even that sucks because I'm thinking about work. So, conversation, that's how it would have gone with me. So what's my plan? And that's the one that hurts. That's the one that hurts all of us. Most of us don't have a plan. We're just going along with the flow. And so if life sucks today, not sucks, but you know what I'm saying, right? If there's frustrations today, chances are there were frustrations 5 years ago, and 100% guarantee you those same frustrations are going to be there 5 years from now if nothing changes. And the old saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So the what's your plan question, often when I say, when the conversation goes around what's your plan, and they start saying they don't really have a plan, they'll often say to me, well, what's your plan? And that's when I can go down to well, do you remember when? And, you can then talk about, how you've always, either when you had a frustration and you started to look for ways to generate income, or you can lead with products or whatever you like. So the other thing is, how good was it when, and, lead into a conversation around, I guess, that's asking a question, right? So how good was it when you didn't have this commitment, that commitment, when you had free time, when you didn't have these hours, and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of good questions there that you can use. Secret number 2, agree with them as often as you can. Just nodding your head, agreeing, saying yes, yes. And you know what I love saying? You know what? You're right. Because think about having a conversation when you're talking with someone. If someone goes, you know what, you're right, or you're so right, it's like you feel amazing and you keep going and you go, man, I like this guy. So you want to compliment them as often as you can. Set targets around, making connections. I see people having less success than others because they pique interest or invite too soon. Okay, so they're like, man, I've got to invite or pick 5 people today. And they just go in to hit that number 5 with people that aren't ready. So it's sort of like, taking a cake out the oven too soon. It just ends up a flop. So you want to track your numbers. So I do this, I don't do this religiously, but I do this every now and again for about a 90-day period, just to see if my numbers are remaining the same, and they have for 6 years now. So I track how many conversations I'm having, how many of those conversations lead to me inviting them to look at our products or our business, inviting or piquing interest. How many of those invites or peaks will lead to information being shared, then follow-ups from that. I track my follow-ups, and then how many of those end up on a 3-way call where I get out of the way, obviously, step 5 of the system, and then how many of those convert into customers or business partners. So I can start to get a pretty good picture of what my activity levels need to be to produce a result, because you can't plan results. You can certainly plan activity. So tracking your numbers is going to help there. Secret number 3, remember what you were doing at step 1. So step 1, you are not piquing interest or inviting. You are not sharing information or presenting the business. You are not positioning for a 3-way call. You are simply making that connection, building trust and building rapport. So warm market, step 1 could be something as simple as, hey, Mary, how you been lately? What's happening with the family? Or how's the weekend going so far? Did you go away for the long weekend? Oh, it's a long weekend in Australia right now. So it can be really quick, but here's a really good test for you. If you are talking to someone who's relatively new in terms of relationship standpoint, and you go, I might want to share this business with them. Here's some questions. If you can't answer these, you're moving too soon. So, you know, what are they bringing to the business? You know, what qualities, skills, attributes, or talents do they have that you believe can make them successful here? So if you don't know that yet, you've really got to remember what you were doing and just stay in that first step of building that relationship, getting to know them. And then the next lot of questions I'll answer is, what can we do for them? How can their life be better because of Kyani being a part of it? So again, if you don't know the answers to those, remember what you're doing is step one, building connections. So we've got to stay there until we get those answers. I always say the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. So building that relationship. Don't move on until you can feel it. Like until you can feel that that relationship's there, the trust there's a rapport's there. You know, usually for me anyway, there's normally a couple of gags in there. Like that's when there's a bit of a laugh and a chuckle and a bit of a, you know, a few funny things going on. That's when I can feel that it's good to move on and there's some trust there. So, whoop, I've stopped the share hopefully. So that's the you know, that's the stuff that you want to focus on at step one when you're building that trust, building that relationship, building that rapport. And I just wanted to finish on a quick story to explain how this has unfolded in front of my own eyes, really, on a holiday that we're on. So it was about 5 years ago. My wife, and my kids, and myself, we were on a holiday going through the US, and part of that was like a week cruising the Bahamas. And you know, we're in the immigration, you know, where you're going through, get your passport stamped and all that, and then you know, it's just packed, and there's people everywhere, and I'm looking around, and I'm sort of in my head, I'm sort of thinking, there's a lot of really young, attractive women here. Like I didn't say anything to Beck because I'm a smart man, so I'm just thinking that to myself, and then Beck turns around to me, she goes, "Have you noticed how many young, attractive guys are here?" And I go, "I can't believe you just said that. I was just saying the exact same thing in my head about the women." And then it's like, okay, whatever. And she goes, "I wonder if they're all on our ship," because there was a couple of ships there. And then anyway, they take our bags and then they take us through. We go across onto the ship, and they say, "Go up to level whatever it is." And there's welcome drinks and music and stuff up there. So we go, no worries. So we're in the lift. So I've got Morgan and Denver. Denver was 3. So Morgan's like 5. And we're in the lift and it's going up. And as it's going up, it's getting louder and I can hear like bass pumping, like music. And we get up and the doors open up and the whole deck is just like half naked guys and half naked girls partying like crazy, music going off. And I was like covering my kids' eyes and Beck's like covering my eyes. She had booked us on a spring break cruise, and we were on a spring break cruise for a week, and we were the oldest people on the boat. Everybody was 23 years old, straight out of university. And we're like, oh my God, what's this gonna, like, this is gonna be a disaster. And it turns out it was so much fun. There was one conversation that we were having one time, and a lady asked how old Beck was. And she was 38 at that point. She goes, "Oh, I'm 38." She goes, "Oh my God, my mum's 38." And it was like, it just made us feel like extremely old. But nobody knew anything about us, hardly anything about us. And we were just asking the questions. You know, what are you studying? And, you know, has it always been a passion of yours and all that? And so we were the most popular people on the ship, probably because it was a little bit of a comic relief as well. These oldies like cruising around with these 23-year-olds for a week. But nobody knew a thing about us, and everyone was talking about us everywhere, and everyone wanted to hang around with us and party with us and have conversations. When we got into a spa, they wanted to be in there. When we're in that pool, they wanted to be there. At the restaurants, off on the islands, where are you going? Like, we'll hang with you guys. And it was only because we were interested in what they were saying. And right at the end, they wanted to connect on social media and all that sort of stuff, which I would have done anyway, right? Because that's my strategy with the business. And then after, the amount of messages I had coming through, oh my God, what do you do? Where are you, like, how do you live this life? Like, just looking at my social media and what that's all about. And so I didn't do any of that on the week on the ship. It was just all conversations, and Beck and I were doing exactly the same. So crazy. We were like phantoms, like nobody knew hardly anything about us, but everybody wanted to be around us because we were asking them the questions and they wanted to tell us all about them. They wanted to talk about how awesome they were at everything, and it was good to listen to. And it just reminded me, it was like at the end of it, Beck and I was saying, can you believe what just went down in that week? That was just crazy. And not once did we have to, talk about us or, I guess if you look at what people put on social media and throw it out there to try and attract the right people, we didn't have to do any of that. All we had to do was ask and listen and agree and just chat with. And so we built so much trust and rapport and relationship without them knowing anything about us. We could have been serial killers. And there was a lesson in that for me. I've never forgotten that. And I've taken that through in everything that I do in the business. So hopefully that story helps a little bit to back up some of the stuff that I shared with you. Obviously, as we always do, this is recorded. It'll be posted up tomorrow in the Project 50 group, and it'll be on the YouTube resource for those who want to grab the training. So thanks for jumping on, for those who could get on live, and have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.